How does intimacy and sensuality work in dance? Is it okay to become intimate or sensual with someone when social dancing? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, we are welcoming Nelly Caldeira, a renowned personal transformational coach, to talk about how we can learn to identify, invite, and explore intimacy and sensuality in dance without feeling guilty or shameful about it. So, let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Alisson Sandi, and today we're here joined by our beautiful co-host Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, Alisson. Welcome back, everybody. Very excited for today.
And we have a very special guest, Nelly. Hello, Nelly. Welcome to ZoukNerds.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
We are extremely excited because we've been in touch with you, talking for a long time and trying to get this to happen, and we're finally here. Guy was like, she's in DC now, man. I can bring her to the apartment and we can make this happen. So let's do it. And I'm like, yes, please, anytime. Just let me know, because Nelly is such a beautiful person, but also very knowledgeable on all of the things that we do talk here on ZoukNerds. And for today's topic, as you already read in the title and in the thumbnails, we're going to be talking about intimacy in dance. Yes, another one of those topics that, every now and then we think that is very, very important to talk about because it's part of the community. And we are constantly surprised every time we do an episode like this, how many of you guys listening reach out to us and say, thank you. Thank you for doing an episode like this, because I've been part of the community for maybe 2 months or maybe 3 years. And I had so many questions about the relationships and the interactions of the community, because, the dance community, it's its own thing outside of the world that is out there. So we're very excited to be covering this topic here. And let's get into it. Now, talking about intimacy in dance, I think we can connect to a couple of episodes that we've already covered, where we were talking about sexual energy, where we were talking about things that can happen in a consensual or non-consensual way in the community. So let me ask you this, Nelly, to start with. What are the special things that you see about this community that may not be easy for someone who maybe is just starting to dance right now?
I think it might be challenging in the beginning to feel comfortable with yourself, with everything that can happen when you're dancing and getting to interact with other people. Because I think there are so many layers to what we do and to how we feel. And sometimes to be able to separate this and understand the categories and how that relate to us and to others, I think that's challenging sometimes. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think Nelly and I, we have so many conversations about all these topics. We were having one yesterday after our very late lunch. And we just came from a festival where we had these very intense dances unexpectedly.
Yeah. Absolutely unexpected.
Very unexpectedly. I look at Nelly and then she's dancing with this person. And then 1 hour later, I look and Nelly is still dancing with that person. And then 2 hours later, I'm in my 15th partner of the night and Nelly's
Secret whisper. One of those moments.
One of those moments in which the planets align.
Yeah.
How does it happen for you? How does it get to that place that you go into a dance with someone is invited to dance for the first time, and then you are sucked into the voids and you stay there in this magical place, and then you come out of it, you're like, what just happened?
Yes. Time gets lost. I don't even know. I think there's an invitation to stay in that place, and somehow there's a renewal of that invitation. I feel like there is a loss of time. Like, I don't really know how long it's been, but I feel like I'm renewing the desire to stay. And I'm going to say this in a way that is very subtle. And for me, there is a touch, there is a slowness. This dance could end right now. This is how I feel it. So I feel like this dance could end right now. So you're going to slow it down. It's almost like, okay, we've noticed that we've been here for a while, even though I have no clue how long. But then there's a renewal. And the renewal sometimes for me is just a weight transfer. Honestly, it's almost me telling my lead, say, it's okay, I'm still dancing. Like I didn't stop. I'm still available to continue moving, you know? And I feel the same from my lead. Like they're slowing down and they're giving me the space to say, thank you so much. But it's a slowdown that there's still internal intention or motion. And I feel like, oh, okay, we can continue going. So in this case, it was not verbal because sometimes it is. I ask like, do you want to stop? Do you need a break? Like, and come back.
Go drink your water, come.
You can go drink water and come back. So sometimes for me, like that is a verbal because I really love verbal communication on the dance floor. Not constantly, but in certain moments. But in these cases, yesterday, they were all nonverbal. It was almost like, okay, we reinvited each other to continue this journey. You know, that's how it felt to me.
And how would you define then intimacy on the dance? Because I was asked this question a few times before. How would you define if a student or in a workshop, in a class, and says, oh, this was very intimate to me? Or what is intimacy or how does it manifest for you?
Okay, so I think my answer to this, if people don't know, I'm a philosophy teacher. I'm just going to let you know like a little bit of where I come from. So I started teaching when I was 14, all sorts of things. I've always been a teacher or a speaker or a coach of some sort. And what I've noticed for me, especially now working with social dancers as a coach and specifically as a personal transformation coach, which I think is different when you are a dance coach, because the level of vulnerability that I get to in my work is so big. And for me, intimacy has nothing to do necessarily with even being sensual or sexual sometimes. It's that place of vulnerability that is being nourished. I feel like this is when you feel intimate. You feel like, okay, there's a chance that I'm vulnerable here and I'm going to be seen. And someone is going to perceive. And I'm saying this because it's not always when you're dancing. I've seen people feel like, oh, this is too intimate. This is too close, even with things that are not related to dance. In a class, like a teacher is saying something, they come closer to them and I feel like, okay, but we were not even dancing. There was not even music. There was no aspect of sensuality here. So I'm going to say something. I had a student that felt like some songs were creating too much sensations of intimacy. When you go to the dance floor, and I feel like, yeah, because you're listening to the music that's creating an impact, and there's a possibility you're going to be seen in your own sensation. Does it make sense what I'm saying? It's a little bit general, and I feel like that can translate into other things. It can translate into touch. It can translate into feelings. It can translate into desires. It can translate into so many other avenues. But for me, in general, intimacy is this place like something that I'm experiencing is going to be seen and shared. And somehow I cannot escape from acknowledging it because I feel like intimacy requires acknowledgement of some sort. I feel like when it's too guarded, you feel like I'm not fully intimate. It's almost like maybe it's more perceived as a threat than as an experience. I think of intimacy as an experience that I am feeling and I'm okay sharing. Does it make sense?
How does that manifest in practice go? Like on the dance, you are there with your partner and then you're dancing the dance.
Okay.
You know, left hand of the leader, right hand of the follower.
Yeah.
Head is right here. Pa, pa, pa. When does it go from this known permitted place that we learn in class into a place that you consider intimacy? What happens in the body? What happens in the relation, in that connection that now we are in that realm? Now we step into this place of being seen, trusting.
I think for me, it would be a quality of touch. There's a quality of touch. There's a quality of time and space. There's a way to execute moves and dance that feels more automatic. And there's a way in which we're paying attention to as much of it as possible. So I feel like that paying of attention, I want to give an example, something that is very subtle. Most of the time we're facing away, right, while dancing. And there are moments that when it starts getting more intimate, and this means that I'm allowing my partner to see and have more of me, physically, emotionally, I'm allowing them, even if I have fear, I'm allowing them that space. There's a tendency that I have to start looking at the same direction that they're looking. I feel like, okay, we're not looking away anymore. We're looking towards the same direction, or we're looking more towards each other. It's almost like meeting someone halfway through, you know? So for me, there's a quality of touch. There's a quality of how the movements are being execution. There's an eye-to-eye capacity that increases, but also I feel like time stretches. Somehow the sensation between us stretches, and that's more relevant than the movement itself. There's more curiosity. I feel like, how would you move? Like, what would this translate? And I feel like, wow, that was it. There's a level of appreciation. I feel like there's so many pieces to it. But this is how I notice. I notice our bodies getting more connected towards the same direction or the same motion. And I'm going to add one more here. There is a layer of, how do I say this, being in sync?
Yes, synchronicity.
Like a synchronicity?
Like harmony.
Yes, there is a dissolution of leading and following. I feel like at some point we are co-creators at a certain level here that we're just sharing. I don't even know who did what. Does it make sense? I feel like this also happens for me.
Yeah, it resonates a lot with me what you're saying, in the sense that the dance goes into the realm of intimate when you step into a place that you do or things that you do with your body that you don't normally do, that you don't normally go there with everybody. Yeah. There is almost like a special aspect to it because you slowly got to know that person physically, movement-wise, and allow your head to turn, allow your hand to touch another part of the body that is not like the standard places. Your hand touches a shoulder or touches closer to the neck, so these places that you go that you don't normally go.
Yeah. And it has nothing to do with moves. Like I remember when, I don't know how long you've been dancing, but at some point you might see this face rolling happening out there. And I remember the first time that I heard about the idea of it, that some people like, this is too much, either because it's inappropriate, these people look like they're doing something other than dancing. And the first time someone face rolled me was the last intimate thing I've ever done in my life. I feel like this is so off. Sometimes we associate certain movements as if they're going to be intimate. And this causes us to be overly prepared for a feeling that actually creates disappointment. I actually felt sad. I felt like, oh, someone sold me to something that didn't happen. So I felt like, okay, when I do this, I'm going to feel like, wow. And it wasn't. Because the quality of the thing is so much important than the thing itself. And sometimes I feel intimate with someone doing like a little lambada, stepping in front of me in a Wi-Fi energy. But the way that person is pushing their feet on the floor and they're disconnected from me physically, right? So we are connectedly dancing with each other. I feel like that was so intimate. Because you allow me to see you in your pleasure, in your attention space. And that created a response in me, So, yeah, it's a lot more about the quality of motion for me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I've had some dances where I felt that intimacy that you guys are talking about in terms of being in this dance that you don't know who did what. And I kind of call it self-2, which is a reference from a book that I love, but being in the zone, let's say, being in the zone where two become one. But I've also had other intimate dances where it felt a little more sensual, where it felt a little bit more like I'm expressing not just myself as a dancer, but also as a person with feelings, with attraction. How do we differentiate that? How could you differentiate that if possible?
I just want to say I love what you mentioned there, Alisson, because intimacy for me, it's about this capacity to be seen and wanting to be seen even when you're afraid of it, to some extent. And it doesn't mean it's going to be sensual. I remember once I went to Elevation and I had so much sadness inside of me and I was trying to continue dancing with the person and the song that came through took me to a memory and I felt like I was trying to hold it back, right? And it was so intimate that the person realized and he said, you can let go. And I was dancing, sobbing. I was like, and doing the steps. And I felt like, my God, this is so intimate right now. This person opened up a space and now I allow myself to walk into where I was seen absolutely. So I was crying and I was having all my emotions come through. I felt like, oh, this is what Brenda Mai feels like when she's fully expressed. So I was having all that expression of emotions. And because of that, the safety was so strong that the emotions subside, right? When I work with people, this is very important for me to remind people, emotions, they have literally a roller coaster. There is an order to them, even in your nervous system. It's very common for you to feel sad after feeling angry. There is a frequency in which emotions travel, right? So that sadness kept on translating into safety in such a way that I was no longer crying and I felt like it was becoming sensual because of the slowness. And I felt like you were here for me. And this is not something I'm thinking. I noticed that my body is trying to shift the way I'm feeling. So sometimes the movement, and this was something that I was thinking later on, the way I was moving was the same. It was very similar. But the way I was feeling my body while I was moving was different. Because before the slowness was this sadness. And after this, it became this safety sensation. And from here, it became like, now it's sensual. You can see me in pleasure right now for having been received. So I don't know if I answered the full question, but this is what came to me when you asked.
No, that makes total sense. I think it's about understanding a little bit more your emotions. I'm not the best at that. So that's why I asked the questions. And I'm like, is there anything that you can help me or you can help anybody listening in terms of differentiating or recognizing that as they're going through? And I think your example really gives some guidelines.
And I would add one more thing here. If I were to very much simplify my work, it goes into life coaching, right? It's so much more than this, but I think this is a term that people kind of understand nowadays. And I feel like what you're wanting to understand on a dance floor is a work that you need to be putting outside of it. I tell people anything that you try to build, any skill, communication, speaking, you don't try to just build only in practice. You try to build in your life. So for me, recognizing my emotions is not something that I just do when I'm there. Because at that moment, emotions, they're going to change very quickly. You might be feeling very sensual and someone steps on your feet. And you feel like, man, you just broke my... You might have that snap out of the emotion because the DJ changed the music. You're like, damn, like it just... There is a combination of things that are happening that cause you to stay in that state. You need to bubble up. Anything that comes and touch the bubble, you already shift the emotion you're feeling and you might bring yourself back or not. So I tell people, like, being able to recognize emotions when they transition so fast, or they could, will only happen if you're able to do this on a daily basis. One of the apps that Guy gave me, it was How We Feel.
Yeah, How We Feel.
So, like, I had already do this work with my clients, and then Guy suggests an app for understanding emotions, learning how to label them, something that he was using. It became part of my practice. Guy, everyone does that. And it is really interesting, like, okay, am I feeling sensual? Maybe you're not. What is feeling sensual? What is feeling aroused? What is feeling excited? What is feeling vulnerable? And sometimes you don't need to be so particular because they will shift. So I feel like this is something that you need to put on the work outside of the dance floor. And when you go to the dance floor, go with a mindset. This is my secret for everything. What is your mindset for this today? If you were to give yourself like a small task, something to pay attention to what it is that you're feeling, even if you don't have a name or a title. And you start feeling like, wow, okay. And it might start with, I'm feeling good or I'm feeling bad. It might start that simple. I'm feeling okay, I'm not feeling okay. And from there, you can dive deeper. Instead of just trying to go super deep into pointing out this emotion, maybe just make it a range. Because the app is divided into 4.
Yeah, 4 categories of feelings.
What are the categories again?
I don't remember, but they are in different colors. So you have like maybe the pleasant ones.
Yes.
So there is a yellow and a red, and the red, I think, is the really unpleasant ones.
Yes.
And there are these other 2 where stuff in between.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool app. Really cool app.
So I feel like this is it. If you do the work to try to really describe your emotion, start outside of the dance floor because you have more space to look into it. If you go to the dance floor, just start with a very basic distinction. Very basic, non-judgmental as much as possible. Good, not good. Okay, not okay. And as you continue dancing and paying attention into that, you're going to be able to start separating inside of that group. How do I classify? And I think it gets easier.
Yeah, I remember looking at the app and finding very interesting not being able to discern if I was anxious, nervous. There were like 3 or 4 feelings that they could be, but I'm so used just to say anxious. It challenged me to like, wait, am I really anxious or was nervous, worried, anxious? And then I forget the other one. But they all related to something that is about to happen, something about the future.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because it really challenged me, it still does, to go out of the regular labeling of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
It's either anxious or overwhelmed. We have these 2 general ones that we throw up all the time.
Yeah.
And I find really, really precious to try to define them better. And there was one thing that you said that I feel very curious about. How do you define feeling sensual? What is that for you?
Feeling sensual for me is a level of pleasure that awakens my feminine. I know this is a little bit abstract here right now.
Yeah, girl, you need to be a little bit more precise for us here.
We're ZoukNerds, not feeling nerds.
I know. So you invited the wrong person here because I'm nerd in the abstract.
No, that's great.
I think this is great.
We're learning a lot. We are learning a lot. Trust.
So for me, feeling sensual It has to do with the level of pleasure and in which parts of my body this pleasure is located. Let's say like this. So for me, feeling sensual, I'm able to put more attention in any specific part of my body and really feel it. Because when I'm feeling sensual, it's hard for me to just feel like I have an overall state of sensualness. I think it can be in the full state of sensual quality, but I feel like there's a place in my body in which my attention is, and I can feel it more, if it makes sense. And this is how I start discerning the sensuality for me. So for example, it's a touch. I'm dancing with someone and there's a way in which they change the hand. And I feel like, ooh, that caught my attention. So like my attention, my pleasure, the sensations got really aware, because in general, we can go into a more sexual aspect of it. When you say, when are you feeling sexual? You already know the very basic parts of your body that are awakened in awareness. You feel like, oh my God. Or when you are in love, like you might feel your chest or you might feel your heart. Like, so there are certain parts of our body that for me are connected to sensuality. With sensuality specific, for me, sensuality can happen anywhere. These two, me and Gibby were watching choreography because Worlds is happening, right? ZoukNerds just happened. So many things going on. We are watching all these people, talented, hardworking athletes. So we started watching different videos. We went into tango, into so many things. I'm watching that whole thing. And all I had was this feeling on the top of my head. And Guy mentioned it. Wow, I'm feeling this buzz on the top of my head. And I was like, wow, I'm feeling it too. So for me, I would have classified that as sensuality. It felt sensual because my awareness was in one specific part of my body and there was pleasure. Like I wanted to continue feeling it. I feel like the thing with sensuality for me, it's that it's a little bit addictive. I want to say, hey, play another one, because I want to continue.
I want to continue feeling this thing.
This thing on top of my head. So for me, sensuality has to do with this, with the attention is somewhere in my body. And sometimes it spreads out. It can and it will. But it starts like this. This is how I locate it. It has happened, you know?
Yeah, because I think sensuality is one of those very complicated umbrella terms like intimacy, like comfort,
Yes.
which are words that we throw and then we use very often.
Yeah.
But when we are asked to, what does it mean? And we're like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we are asked for more specifics of what is it that we are talking about, that's where we find the challenge. And that's what I think people coming into the dance world struggle with intimacy, with sensuality, with sexuality, because the words or the concepts that they have about all of this, it was laid out for them by someone or in an unconscious way.
Yeah.
And when we go into the dance world, because of how it's set up, we are challenged into our ideas, understandings of what all these things are, you know? So sensuality for me, when people use the word sensuality in the way that they use and they think that they're using, I associate a lot with confidence, feeling confident in your body, in your movement, and you touch your own skin, you look at yourself, and you feel that you got it.
Yes.
There's like this empowerment.
Yeah.
Because when I think of sensuality in the more like dictionary kind of idea of sensuality is connection to the senses. And that's what touches on what you talked about. You know, that there's a part of my body that I'm feeling more, you know, and that is a manifestation of you felt something in your body and you were letting it
out.
You're letting out.
You mentioned something there that reminded me of, I had this student and sometimes I offer like 30 minutes free coaching, whatever, for the community to respond to someone on a one-on-one thing. And he reached out and he came to me because he was really conflicted and he was dancing for like less than a year, like maybe 6 months to a year. He was very conflicted with emotions because his question for me was like, am I allowed to feel emotions while I'm dancing? And he was like, I don't think I can allow myself to feel emotions and let people feel my emotions. So he was dancing with other people and feeling so afraid. And the reason why he was feeling afraid, and I think this goes into sensuality, it's because a little bit of it for me is connected to the idea of expressing and receiving desire, of wanting to be desired or feeling desirable. Does it make sense? And he was like, it's totally wrong for me to project this into someone else. And my conversation with him, which shifted so much because he's so expressed right now, was the idea that like this desire is not about the person in front of me. It's about me. It's how I am feeling. right now. It's what I'm wanting to express. And of course, there's a consensual thing. And I'm just talking about someone that is doing basic steps, okay? So when I talk about sensuality or these things, I think people are imagining people like being super cremoso, doing the most sensual traditional idea of sensuality. And sometimes the word is just doing basic steps. You're still counting. Tum, cheek, tum. Like you're still trying totally lost, but the feeling has nothing to do with what motion exactly you are doing, even though some movements really bring it up more. So he was literally doing basic step, back and forth, lateral. Viradinha was his huge place, where he felt like my emotions are so up in the air. Like, am I allowed to feel them? So I feel like this comes a lot with desire, this confidence that it is okay for me to feel. And there is a moment and a way in which I can ask permission, verbally or non-verbally. And accepting that desire is part of you. Like, this is why I also ask my students to dance by themselves. I say, I know we're here to do partner dancing, but if there is a desire to move within you, you're absolutely allowed to move on the dance floor. I want you to feel like moving and grooving. One of my projects is about this, which I play with them. Like it's doing non-Zouk moves to Zouk music. If you by yourself, how would you jam non-Zouk moves to Zouk music? What comes up for you? I feel like you start owning your desire a little bit more instead of trying to think of it as desire is something automatically inappropriate. And then sensual becomes a little bit more another way to feel. The same way that you feel sadness and sometimes you feel excitement, we feel sensual. And no emotion is better than the other,
But then you went back to say feeling sensual. What does that mean?
So for me, I think that was it. The sensation that I feel in my body. I think that's what...
So when you say you feel sensual, you feel embodied?
I feel embodied.
Yeah, okay.
So when I feel sensual, I feel embodied.
You feel embodied. You're feeling your body moving. You're feeling your skin. You're feeling everything.
Yeah. I'm feeling the music. I feel how the music moves me. I feel like for me, there is another thing. There is a loss of... When I feel sensual, I'm not paying attention to how other people are feeling me or thinking of me. I feel like there's this place where judgment is no longer present. And this is more of a mental thing.
The confidence.
Yeah, I feel like it's the confidence, but it's also like, I don't give a like, I don't care how, I don't even know if someone else is looking at me right now. Is when I get lost inside of myself. Like I'm not trying to perceive anything outside of me. I'm embodied and I'm paying attention. If someone else is looking at it, good for you.
I'm glad you are.
I'm glad you're here.
You're welcome.
But I'm not sure if they're perceiving me as sensual. I'm no longer caring how other people are thinking or, I don't know, labeling me,
Yeah. There is this thing that we separate for certain parts of our lives. So if I touch someone this way or if I get touched this way, it means this thing here. If somebody looks at me this way and I look at them that way, it means this other thing here. And that's the part that I think partner dancing also breaks or forces us to rethink. Because sometimes we have this eye-gazing dance or we have this very intense, and we talked about this before in one of the episodes, that I had this amazing dance with this person one time in a festival. And then the next day we crossed in the hallway and we was like, oh, hi.
Yes.
And we had this magical galactic dance. So it invites us to challenge what meaning we attach to the things that we do with our bodies. And I remember also in an episode that I told people when I was dancing back in the day, and this would happen, when the hands would go like this motion of the hands, my body would react so intensely in everything. I didn't know what to do with it, how to deal with it, because I associated this act, this motion to someone being my girlfriend.
Yes.
Or to something more intense, and it was a stranger, So how do you go about these things of like having to redefine what concepts you had in regards to intimacy, to closeness? And when you do that to someone, is that in your mind? Like you're dancing with someone and then you, for example, let's say you invite this. Is that in your mind? You're like, oh my God, I just did this thing. And oh my, what is this person gonna think? Or how does that go for you when you are the one who is, let's say, inviting?
Yeah. I feel like somehow I am the one that invites the most. And I invite by creating the space. Like I keep on giving that pause and I see if they catch it or not. I feel like most of the time I am the one that invites. I think most leads that I dance, and I dance with so many people, most leads that I dance with, Anyways, I am Wolf, right? You guys are hearing ZoukNerds, and I'm trying to be as nerd as I can, as specific as I can, but I want to go to the galaxy because that's where I live.
Oh, it's the galaxy.
So I'm trying to bring myself back to Earth. So I feel like I can pick up a desire, but because I believe in energy and all kinds of stuff, body language, man, human beings are incredible. This is not woo at all, but it's how we are. You can pick up someone's possible intention. They are just not acting on it. And I feel like, oh, they just need permission. Can I give a very bad example? It's like you want to go to the bathroom and you're not going to the bathroom, but everyone can see. If I look at you, man, you want to go to the bathroom, right? Like there are certain desires that we have, like you can see, like, okay, the body is already speaking a desire, even though you are not acting on it. And by desire, I'm not meaning sensual desire, the desire to do anything. So I feel like sometimes my lead just needs to know it is okay, you know? And I'm going to use what I call like, this is why I say non-Zouk moves. It is a motion that is not a technique.
Yeah.
So going from this hand to this hand, it's not a technique that you go to classes and people say, when you want. So it's something unusual. It's something that is a slight, for example, for me, Gui, it doesn't even have to be this. It can just be this. I'm here and one finger go in.
Yeah.
This one finger go in, I feel like, we're a little bit out of the route here. You know, it's the same because that's not a technique. And sometimes this happens by mistake. We're dancing, the thing goes over and I feel like, wow, that was very intimate. It was just a passage. So anything that feels out of the norm for me is almost like it's a space to permission. And I think this is how we make mistakes. Because it's a space for permission, it's not necessarily permission. I like to say, like, if this happened by mistake, I'm going to have it happen a couple more times for me to confirm the permission was given. I don't take the first as like, now I am free. So you go into someone's house, they allow you to open the refrigerator to get water once. Now you believe the house is yours. Like, this doesn't... Are you kidding me? So, like, I'm still going to ask a couple more times, even when the answer was yes. Because we have this thing about consent. If it's a maybe, it's a no. But I say, if it's a yes, it should be a yes a couple more times. A yes is not a full yes just because a yes once. And it's not trying to overdo it. So these little body languages, like someone is going to hold you and they just go a little bit more over the shoulder blade. I feel like, okay, well, this is not here where Guy told me to do the full embrace. This is not here. This is something halfway through.
I think that connects with what you said before about the renewal. There is a renewal because it can change at any point, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. And I can say that for myself, I struggle with recognizing. So this pattern that you just described, I think it's a very good step-by-step technique of recognizing, you know, like try to get a few more yeses before you step into the door. But remember that that door may close at any point. Yeah. So keep checking if the renewal is still there. And I think I've learned so many points that describes how to recognize or how to open and how to deal with this in an inviting or receiving way. But how do we deal with this in a way that you're confused or uncomfortable with what's going on? How to recognize that, I guess, in your body, like tension. What are the things? That's what we kind of talk as dance teachers usually. You know, if your partner feels a little tense, if you feel the muscle tone changing, if you feel that the body language is changing. So how would you describe that in your magical words?
How do I recognize confusion?
Confusion or like non-consent, discomfort, refuse in yourself or for other people as well. How could we help them?
I actually feel like confusion is very clear because I feel like, especially honestly, I think people live in confusion a lot of the time. I think people have a hard time understanding clarity.
Yes.
Guys, I'm very politically incorrect here and there, but I feel like confusion is such a regular state that you don't have to recognize. I need to ask you to get out of it. Because the reason why you cannot see it is because you're living through it. So the moment that you start getting clarity, confusion is very clear. And I say this because I work with people that are anxious about hundreds of thousands of things. Be Jack and Jill, be doing a demo, be becoming an international artist, like anything, social dancing. So I feel like that's a very common state. I think the question is like, what do you do when you find yourself in constant state of confusion? Confusion about what you want, confusion about how you feel, confusion about how to understand the situation, confusion about what to do. I feel like I would break it down, and I know it's a little bit abstract here because I think of the social dance for not only on what's happening on a social dance in that moment. I feel like that's so micro and it's so contextual that what I might say may apply or may not apply. So that my tendency is to go a little bit abstract because I want people to see, like, what do you do when you are confused in life? Do you seek clarity or do you bling? When you don't know where the keys are, do you scream that your mother left to someone else, that your husband didn't put it in place? Or you get curious about like, hey, where was the key? How do you respond to these things outside of the dance? Because in the dance, it's a millisecond for you to have a reaction. So I am a person that in general, I think it is important that we have mechanisms and tools to understand things on the social dance floor, but I do not believe that's the most effective space. I feel like you're asking too much from yourself as if you are a master. Do you know who can recognize their emotions and be able to shift their state or own their state very quickly? Those who practice this on a daily basis. So I feel like if you are a beginner or even if you've been dancing for a long time and you feel like I feel confusion and I don't know what to do, I feel like welcome to the group. Like this is a part of it. Normalizing that you don't know what to do. It's what's going to cause us to be more relaxed. Because the pressure that you're supposed to resolve this problem here is what's actually the problem. Because none of us do know. We're all trying to do our best to understand ourselves, how to communicate, and how to receive someone else and understand. Like, there are 4 things happening at the same time. And from us, teachers, organizers, it's about me feeling myself, me expressing my feelings to this person or sensations, hearing them, understanding what they're saying, understanding how we communicate about this, and looking outside. It's supposed to me to dance with someone else. Do I need to teach in 1 hour? So, like, there's so many things I'm paying attention to. So for me, this is the first step. Don't try to change something that you don't even acknowledge. Let it be. There is a discomfort in the silence of existing in that emotion. So if you can start practicing not wanting to shift it or do something with it right away, it will get easier over time. Because for me, it's about like, how can I find clarity? So for me, it's a group of mindset, you guys. It's not necessarily an emotion. And the way I think and the way I approach the dance floor, the way I relate with the stories I make up in my mind about how we feel matters so much more. So for me, like, is what do you think? It's not always about how you feel. As much as I am an embodied person, I am absolutely passionate about how the mind labels it. That's where I nerd out. What is the story that you made out of that? Like, what did you create? So this for me is the biggest mindset shift here. You don't need to do anything when you're in confusion. You probably don't even know, and you have permission not to know what to do. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. It's totally okay. And in this not knowing, we're going to find each other lost. And that's when you start getting fun. Does it make sense? And sometimes the best thing you can do is verbalize outside of the dance floor, which is actually the hardest thing to do. I feel like shifting things inside of a dance is easier than reaching this person verbally outside of the dance. One thing that I started doing, Alisson, after Jack and Jill's, because sometimes in Jack and Jill, like, man, dance with this person, you know, like I always attract the one that I don't, whatever stories we make out of my mind. I started reaching out to my partners. Every time I had a Jack and Jill, I send them a message later on. Sometimes I am too fiery in the moment with myself, whatever judgment I have, and I don't do right away. But I reach out. Hey, how was this Jack and Jill for you? I just want to apologize or request. I noticed this. And I created a little prompt for myself on how do I reach out to people, mixing NVC and all the other tools that I have to open up that space. There was someone in Jack and Jill. He was like part of my community. And 3 or 4 times we got together. We danced in Jack and Jill. It just doesn't have, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if you guys have this experience. You feel like you're dancing with someone on the social, and when you dance in a different context, be a demo, Jack and Jill. I'm using Jack and Jill just as an example. It doesn't have to be that. It's a completely different reality. I feel like I don't even know you. I don't even know myself. Like, what are we doing here? So I created a story, a block about this guy. Every time he was in Jack and Jill, I was like, oh my God, believe me. I got him 3 or 4 times. I was like, oh my God, this is it. And then there was one that I just made an internal decision. I'm going to show up the best that I can. I want to show so much love and appreciation for this person in this Jack and Jill right now, in a way that I don't give a damn about anything else. I want to be so human here. I got last place. My favorite Jack and Jill was my last place. I feel like this was the best Jack and Jill. I was like 10th, like 0, like nothing in terms of points. But my sense of satisfaction was so good. And the only reason I was able to do this is because I start connecting with this person about Jack and Jill outside of the Jack and Jill. not there, when my emotions are fluctuating in a way that sometimes I don't have control, that are triggers and traumas and expectations. So the best way for me to do this on the dance floor, it's not on the dance floor. It's outside of it. Establishing a relationship with someone that causes you to feel like it is okay, you know? That's what I would say.
Yeah, I had one of my friends, she was doing therapy, and she was basically talking about like the dance relationships or the relationships that form out of the dance, and realizing that at times they don't last very long. They're like these bursts. You have these bursts like, oh my gosh, everybody's so beautiful. and then you cross them in the hallway, you know, kind of idea. And her therapist told her that we are basically high all the time.
Yes.
She said the partner dance people are high all the time. We're high in oxytocin.
Yes.
High in dopamines.
Yes.
Because we are in this place that allows us, that gives us permission to be in physical, literal physical contact with someone for hours on end.
Yeah.
And that creates a lot in the body, that creates a lot in the emotions and the feelings. And it can be extremely confusing.
So confusing.
Extremely confusing. And then we make decisions. I like that you say we are all in the unknown. We don't know what the hell. In the confusion.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that tale of the fish.
Yeah.
That somebody comes to the fish and says, oh my God, look at all this water around you. And the fish says, what water? And then you're like, look at all this confusion around us. You're saying, what confusion? And I think in the social dance, when we talk about intimacy, when we talk about sensuality, when we talk about sexuality, I think everybody's a little confused of what to do, or how to navigate all these things, because we are all discovering as we go, as we talk with those who have more experience than us. And coming back to the thing that everybody's high, and then you said, what you start to do for yourself, I'm reaching out to these people afterwards.
Yes.
Which is exactly what her therapist recommended.
Okay.
She said, wait a couple of days when you're not in that environment and talk to the person.
Yeah.
When you're not in the environment, we're not in the environment, you are not like a day after or 2 days after.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit. Let the things calm down in your body so you go back to a state of normalcy.
Yes.
And then you go and you talk.
So true. Alisson, one thing that you guys do that I absolutely appreciate is something else that I feel like is complementary to what you're saying. Because I feel like what the therapist, your friend's therapist, and I'm saying is a sense of closure. Because energetically, this is from an energy standpoint, we are energetically open the entire night. So I feel like I open many tabs of emotions throughout an entire night.
Your browser is like...
The browser is like full. And you feel like, how do I differentiate? I'm like, I don't know. In the last 10 songs, I had 1,500,000 different emotions. You know, like I didn't have one emotion that I could process for a longer period of time. I was feeling sensual, I was feeling crappy, I was irritated, I was very excited, I was playful, I was connected, I was disconnected. So you open all these browsers and you're trying to be the master dos magos. And in this moment, you want to know everything you're feeling and label and know how to handle. Cool. So I feel like there's a sense of closure that I get outside of the dance floor. This partner that I dance with, that we were talking about at the beginning, he sent me a message literally yesterday. So the event ended. He sent me a message. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And my answer was like, thank you so much for trusting, surrendering, melting with me, giving me space. Like, thank you. And instead of saying this, and that, like we were thanking each other for what is this that we did. And I felt like I got closure out of that. A second thing that I feel like is what you guys do is community, is the creation of community and communication. Is what you guys do here with ZoukNerds and what I see you guys doing with District Zouk, is creating a space where people relate. And I feel like this creates a sense of closure because you start understanding people's patterns, behaviors, and ways of being, and you start making them less personal. Does it make sense? Because when we're dancing, we just have ourselves. So it feels like this is so highly special. And then you feel like, wow, for me, one thing that I learned in community was like, wow, this is how this person expressed themselves. When I observe other people dancing, like watching the dance floor was something else for me, like observing how he's dancing with other people. And it started like making me distinguish what is ours from what is you. And most of the time, what you bring it, you know? So these are a couple of things: closure, community, observing the dance floor, and not just to see who is doing better, like not judging people's technique, but observing how they are behaving, how are they moving in their bodies, how comfortable they are or not. Not just to look at who dances good or bad, to choose who you want to dance with. Like, not just making a judgment of technique. Let me see who I'm going to dance with. But observing people's humanity, because it just makes life so much easier. What you said reminded me of my mom says, are you going to make decisions when you're hungry? Like, never go to the supermarket when you're hungry. And it happened here with me and Guy. I felt, Guy, I can buy everything right now. I'm so hungry yesterday coming from the event. So when you are there, you're hungry, you're high. You're not really qualified to do a surgery right now. I'm sure that if you were a surgeon, they're not going to get to execute your best job in that state. So it takes time to master your emotions.
Wow. Thank you. That was beautiful and amazing. And I just remembered, yeah, that's right. I actually take a lot of time to make decisions. I usually take like 3 to 4 weeks to make major decisions in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that sometimes doesn't go well with people, but I feel like, I need a month to feel like, even if I want to buy something, I want to buy a camera or a light or something, I'm like, no, let me wait a month. Let me see if I still want it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe whatever we're going through in the dance or in a class or at an event or something, give yourself time to process that and look at that particular emotion or moment from another set of eyes or from another perspective, and then start really taking notes from it. But yeah, thank you so much, Nelly. I was just here like listening as if I was a guest of this podcast or a listener of this podcast, not even talking much. You can just see I'm like in awe, just in magic here. And of course, you are such a beautiful person and you know so much about how to connect with people. The way that you just describe things, I'm like, man, I just want to speak like you.
But I'm so glad that you guys bring me down to earth, because I can fly away.
Well, maybe that's an invitation for us for the next episode. So Nelly, you'll stay here with us for another episode, right? And everyone, please come back next week so we can go to the moon with Nelly in our next episode, where we're just going to go, okay, Nelly, take us.
Just go.
Take us and let's go.
I'm going to put the camera on and just roll.
That's it. I'm just going to do the intro and sit back. All right, everybody. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Guy. And thank you all for listening. And I will see you on the next episode. So beijos, abraços, and ciao.
What people?
Goodbye.